What do you do? What are you cut out to achieve? Can you highlight that for us before we delve into other issues?
Fantastic. So the Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria is a regulatory body established by law to regulate the project management sector. So the idea is those who deliver projects in Nigeria must be licensed to do so. Organizations who employ individuals who deliver projects in Nigeria according to the law are supposed to be licensed to do so. Organizations that train or teach in project management in Nigeria should be licensed to do so. This institute has been set up to regulate this sector and to ensure that only professionals are allowed to head project management deliveries in Nigeria. It is important. We cannot have unlicensed individuals heading infrastructure projects, healthcare projects, technology projects all around the country. It's not right. You know, projects must be planned and executed properly so that we can give the citizenry the benefits, you know, that they are looking for from this country or from their leaders in this country.
It's a good way to start this conversation, but I would say, how well have you been able to make sure that you take your rightful position across the economy? And you know, because we still have issues of quackeries, we have your association trying to say, no, we are not going to allow this, allow that. How have you been able to manage a country? Many talk about our numbers. It's a highly populated country. So how have you been able to manage the project managers to make sure that they adhere to all of this as stipulated by the Institute?
So in 2025, we are going to be starting enforcement. We've been doing a lot of sensitization in the past couple of years. In those years, we've done a few things. First of all, one of the key things we did is that we worked with the NUC, the National University Commission, to create the first ever project management curriculum for higher education institutions in Nigeria, which means you can go to university, study project management, come out as a professional, get a BSc degree, a master's degree, thereabout. We've also worked with ITF to ensure that we bring project management skills and certifications to artisans within the country, because it's very relevant. They need to understand how to plan. You know, we've worked with the Standard Organization of Nigeria to get involved in some human capital development projects with SON amongst their staff. And we are actually working with SON to create the Standard Organization of Nigeria to create the first ever project management framework in Nigeria. It is not a very easy feat, but SON has been on it, the project management standard for the country. That's relevant. Now, it is not the easiest thing to do, looking at the size of the nation, but we are working very hard with the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, our supervising ministry, and other MDAs in Nigeria to begin to look at the establishing laws of this institute and to begin to respect and follow and enforce that establishing laws across the public sector to start with. Yes, we have this mandate in the public sector and across the private sector also, but we must start from somewhere. We are kicking off with the public sector, and that has been going very, very well. And we'll be having meetings, you know, at the very highest level of the Secretary to the Government or the Federation, and we're working out a way to be able to make sure that we cascade this information all across MDAs. Now, it is not an easy thing to do, but we are ready to do the work. We are ready and we are committed to ensure that we push this narrative across Nigeria. We must have professionals delivering projects. We must stop the wastes. We must refuse a situation where you start a project only not to complete it and you think is okay without accountability. Every project must have a project manager managing it. And that project manager must be licensed. And if it goes wrong, both the project manager and individuals giving authority to that project manager must be held to account. I think enough is enough where we begin to see projects delivered in Nigeria that don't ever come to conclusion, and then nobody is being pointed out. But going forward, as long as that project manager is licensed, they are under our purview, and we are going to make sure that we understand why these projects are failing, and we have to stop it. We do have to stop it.
That sounds good. Is this how the cipmn is getting so useful in helping address the nation's infrastructure gap? Because that is also important that you help bridge that gap. What are you doing particularly with regards to that?
So there's a lot of, CIPMN has been running a lot of trainings. You know, we are trying to build human capital. Listen, Buildings don't erect themselves. Cars don't manufacture themselves. You know, healthcare, IT projects, you know, if you want to apply for, you know, a Nigerian visa or you want to apply for your passports, these things don't just happen. You know, even if you are going to do it online, human beings create these processes. Human beings set up these buildings and manufacture these vehicles. What is important in Nigeria is human capital development. And I've often said this, this priority is not placed on building houses or buying cars or building this or that. The priority should be placed on the individuals who are meant to create these innovative ideas for Nigeria. And that is why CIPMN's focus is on human capital development. We must ensure that we build that capacity across the country. This is what CIPMN is ready to do. We are going around all the MDAs, private sectors, we are going to be running trainings. Licensing is key. That is why on the 2nd to the 5th of December, the induction process, our program that we're having is bringing together all the individuals who are looking to be project managers to come on board, get trained, get licensed, get inducted, and know that you are a CIPMN member with that experience to lead and deliver projects within the country.
Well, sounds good, but let me ask you, do you have any divisions or are there any issues in the leadership of CIPMN? Can we talk about that?
Yes. Yes, so we used to have one. This was, I think, earlier in about 2021, maybe. We had a situation where we had a leadership crisis within the council. It was a very serious one, and it was a typical, you know, situation of certain individuals thinking that public organizations such as CIPMN belongs to one person or the other. In all of my adult life, I've worked in the United Kingdom and delivered projects over there. Coming into Nigeria to take up this position, I found it completely ridiculous. As an individual would look at a public sector organization like this and just think it belongs to me. This situation, of course, was very tough for me to handle. It was my first experience working in Nigeria, but the good thing was that I saw firsthand the way it was dealt with. The permanent secretary at the time of the Ministry of Trade and Investment stepped in. The minister at the time stepped in. This matter tried to be resolved within the ministry, and after it couldn't, it was sent to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and then forwarded to Mr. President, the then President, Muhammad Buhari, to intervene on the matter. And Muhammad Buhari intervened on the matter by dissolving that initial council and then appointing a sole administrator to put the institute on the right track. That sole administrator did her job for a year and then handed over to a new council that now appointed me registrar of the institute. So it has been a rocky road. But for the first time, or my first experience dealing with an institution like this in Nigeria, dealing with the government directly, I saw the government work. I would say that for myself. I saw it work. And that has brought about an institute that is relaxed. But unfortunately, you know Nigeria. You know, you have an issue where people begin to go to court, you know, and I can say this very clearly. You know, you go to one court, you file a particular case, you don't give the judge all the information. Then you go to another court and then you file another case and you don't give the judge, and then you're having judgments upon judgments falling up and down, you know, the place. And in my mind, I just found that ridiculous. But the good thing was that we had a judgment last year that came from the Federal High Court that made it very clear, you know, that the initial leadership of the institute, which seemed to have been self-appointed. So the chairman of the council at the time was never appointed. The chairman of the council was never elected. And that judgment came around saying that every act that person has taken from the moment the act was signed in the National Assembly up until the date of that judgment was found null and void, which means everybody who was appointed by that particular chairman who wasn't elected or appointed as the act recommended was now found null and void. And the only thing we had, the only structure the institute had to go by was the decision that was made by Mr. President to dissolve the self-appointed council and to appoint a sole administrator to help put the institute back together. That brought us on course. That ended the leadership crisis. But of course, individuals will still be running up and down here and there, even with the court judgment that has gone all the way to the Supreme Court. And that judgment still stands today. But you will still have individuals who believe this is Nigeria, we can circumvent the system, we can do what we want. But that is not possible. That is not possible. We are not going to allow anyone to besmirch the name of the institute or to take this country for granted. If that is the Nigeria they knew, you know, whenever they knew that Nigeria, that is not the Nigeria that exists today.
Beautiful stuff. Thanks for that clarity there. Now, we have project managers operating across the country. but we still have issues around abandoned projects. At a time, I've been able to speak to some analysts who told me that some of our abandoned properties, or what I call them sites, and all around the country, it can be monetized, and government can raise reasonable revenue from these structures lying all around. We have them in Lagos, we have them in Abuja, and everywhere. So now let me ask you how that comes to you and how you've reacted to this continuous issue of abandoned projects across the country.
This is a fantastic question and a very good point of view, yes. A lot of these projects can be monetized, but of course, you have to look at who was working on this project at the time, what contracts you have at the time, and all of that. However, one thing that I think is key, though, is to be able to run a proper requirements on, or perhaps, let's say, look at a business case, a proper business case on what the benefits of these structures are supposed to be. It's not just about saying they can be monetized. We can look at this project, run a business case, understand what we can pull out of this abandoned project, what the benefits could be, look at possible sources of funding and individuals or corporations who will be willing to take up these projects and be able to bring them to fruition to some kind of benefit. The government would obviously have to give some concessions here and there for private sector individuals who are looking to take them up. But if the presidency and if the government is open to it, yes, it is actually very possible that we can get that. But again, at the highest level of decision making in this country, is not the easiest thing because you have to factor every single side. But can this project be monetized to give value? Yes. Can some of them be brought back to life? Yes. Is there a way to do it? Yes. We must strip every sort of sentiment to these projects, do a proper analysis, of the business case of getting to do what are the benefits that we're going to get from it. Get an independent organization to do this for you that is not influenced by this side or this sentiment or that. Look at it critically, understand what the impact of changing, even if it's the initial purpose of this. And I'll tell you something, there's a project management framework called Prince 2, the methodology. And one of the things it says is that if the reason why you start a project is no longer viable somewhere into the project, it is a good idea to stop. If the reasons for those projects are no longer viable, continuing them in their original form for which they have been prescribed or proposed to be delivered, we can repurpose it. We can find a way to do that. It's not the easiest thing to do, no. But is it possible? Yes, it is possible. We just need the political will. We have the individuals. We have the mindset with individuals who have the experience to be able to do this. What we need is political will to be able to push this forward and make sure that we begin to look at these areas where there are gaps and begin to bring value back from it. But can it be done? Yes, it can definitely be done.
Interesting stuff. Now, what will be, or where would you see the CIPMN in, say, I don't know, next 5 to 10 years? We see the way technology is enveloping all of the sectors. I hope our project managers are keen into tech, but where do you see your institute in another 5 years? Let's use that.
So, in 5 years, we would not allow any public or private institution in this country to employ anyone to manage or lead projects in Nigeria if they are not licensed according to the laws establishing CIPMN in Nigeria. That law also said that if you are a foreign national who has come to Nigeria to lead a project, you have 12 months to regularize yourself with the CIPMN license or your experience with the CIPMN license and get licensed to deliver projects in Nigeria. It is a law in this country. And the next 5 years, this law would be the governing factor for anyone looking to deliver projects in this country or to lead the delivery of projects in this country, whether you are in the public sector or in the private sector. In 5 years, you are going to see projects run by professionals in Nigeria, licensed CIPMN professionals in Nigeria. In 5 years, you are going to see CIPMN begin to bring together all of the project management learning in Nigeria. For example, the work the CIPMN did with NUC means that your graduates will have a certain project management mindset. Those graduates who study project management at the university will come out with a specific mindset. The learning of project management within this country needs to be regulated and streamlined. For example, Organizations like the Project Management Institute, which is an American institution or association, which now operates in Nigeria, needs also to be regulated by CIPMN. Yes, of course. It's an old organization. It's been doing very well. But as long as Nigeria is concerned, all associations of projects that manage project management individuals, all memberships of project management, all companies, all institutions, training, teaching in project management must be regularized by the Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria. And we're going to take that job really seriously. It is the law, and we have to obey the law. And in 5 years' time, my brother, I can assure you, professionals will be the only ones qualified to deliver a project, and there will be accountability for failure. CIPMN will hold responsible those organizations, those institutions who hire quacks, or those organizations or institutions who do not hire licensed professionals to deliver their project. You will see that in 5 years' time, project managers in Nigeria will not only be paid very well, but they will be sought for, because it is basically the only role that you will find that focuses on the planning of projects. In 5 years, you're going to see a deeper collaboration with other agencies like COREN or the Nigerian Society of Engineers or those for architecture to work together and come up with a good way, not to think of each other in silos, not to say, oh, no, I'm COREN, no, I'm this, no, I'm supposed to do this, no, I'm supposed to do that. Enough is enough. We're doing this for Nigerians. We're doing this so we can build a system in this country. I'm not going to be the registrar of CIPMN forever. The council will not remain the council forever. And if anybody heads any other institute that deals with projects in one way or the other, they're not going to be there forever. But Nigeria will continue forever. And our children will need to enjoy the benefits of this country. So we really need to come together. In 5 years, you will see these institutions working in harmony. We have to stop working in silos. It is not about me. It is not about you. It is about the collective good of the citizens of Nigeria. And in 5 years' time, you will see that begin to happen. CIPMN will push it in this project delivery sector. I can assure you, and you will see the benefits coming through.
So what would you tell stakeholders and, of course, Nigerians in general?
That's easy. What I would say is this. If you deliver projects in Nigeria, the 2nd to the 5th of December is a time for you to come and get the CIPMN license and work towards CIPMN membership and work towards your license. Do not take it for granted. CIPMN is not out to get anybody. We're not out to fight for our own self. I came onto CIPMN when I was as registrar, and I worked hard to make sure that we build an institute that is standing now here today. As the pioneer registrar, it has been very difficult, but we have built an institute that is solid. And I can assure you, if you deliver projects in Nigeria, we need you to come. Get licensed. If you teach project management in Nigeria, come. Let us collaborate together. Let us work together. The idea is not to use a stick to chase people around. The idea is to invite everybody. There's always room for everybody to work and collaborate together. And I'm calling out all stakeholders, whether it is from the presidency or all MDAs, private sector. CIPMN is not going to do this by itself. We need collaboration. We need support. We can work together to build a better Nigeria. And to the citizens of Nigeria who are not project managers, who are in other fields, I will say this. Regulation should also start from you. I know some things can be easy. Just ask somebody to do something small. You think getting a licensed professional might not be beneficial, but the cost of the wastes of getting just about anybody to build your own personal house or to build your company complex, the cost of the waste is far greater than the cost of getting a licensed professional to do that for you. You should also get involved in the regulation. Help this institute. Let's work together and make sure we build a Nigeria that is beneficial for us. Don't give up on the country just yet. It might be difficult now, but I assure you, as we continue to proceed together with one voice, with one heart, which is to lift this country forward, we will see that Nigeria will become a wonderful place for all of us to live and thrive. Thank you.
Registrar, Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria, Mr. Henry Mbadiwe, thank you so much. Hope to have you on the show sometime soon to again assess and evaluate all of this, your activities. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
All right, my brother. Cheers.
Well, coming up next on the show, we'll shift to